when I talked about our original ancestors, I meant to say too that, you know, what we say in the Bible, that the herbs are put here on the planet for our benefit, i.e. we came here first and then the plants came along for our benefit. That can't happen. If you understand geology and all that, the plants had to have come here first. They had to break through the rocks and break up the rocks, etc., etc., and then the plants grew, and then flowers came along later. We know this for a fact. And then humans, I would say, and thanks to Ron, who planted this idea as a seed in my head, we emanated from plants. If you don't believe that's so, how come we need plants to survive? How long will you last without eating a plant? And for those meat eaters here, you're only eating the flesh of the animal that it lives solely on plants. We need plants to survive. We need our plants for harmony. We need our herbs for harmony. And I believe that in eating our herbs, we exist in harmony. But in our modern life, we need herbs more than anything because we're dissociated from the land. Going back to Pandora, your original ancestor, they would have just roamed, trying this fruit, that leaf. Some died along the way, but you don't have to worry about them because they're not your ancestors. Don't feel sorry for them. We are the survivors, and the ancestors who were clever and before trying the fruit perhaps put a little bit on their lips, and if it didn't burn, a little bit under here, and if a rash didn't come about, and then tried a little bit and waited a few hours and tried a bit more on the plants that they didn't know. But what I'm getting at that, like, we know, and strangely, again, that great bookshop down there, because it just gave me some insight. I just read this half an hour before talking today. You know, it was like, was it Captain Cook's botanist or somebody discovered that the cause of scurvy is because we weren't getting vitamin C from fruits, fresh fruits, so it was a disease that they were getting on board ship. Well, it seems that in 1530, some missionary was in, I think in Africa, it doesn't matter which country, and he had scurvy, and of course back then didn't even know what the disease was, and he was treated immediately for the scurvy and recovered. They gave him a piece of fruit, a willow bark I think it was, but nevertheless it had contained vitamin C. Our ancestors knew this stuff. You know, I wondered why when I was climbing up and down Peru, and for those who've been up and down, I thought, how did the old people get on with their, you know, arthritic knees and arthritis climbing these hills? And I was so excited because there on top of an Andes peak was gotu kola growing.
Yeah.
And the shaman dude that I was with was like, what? You know, and I said, look, there's my answer, you know. And I believe in every culture, in every country, we have the equivalent herbs for healing, the harmony that herbs give us. What I'm trying to get at here is that by browsing, we chewed on gotu kola. In chewing on gotu kola, we stopped arthritis from happening. We prevented arthritis. Now, people in this society will get arthritis and then they'll try and find some pill, some magic potion to help them, when in actual fact it's there in most people's gardens. I became aware of that when we have goats and horses. I mean, they never go to the vet. Why? Because they're browsing on their natural bushland around. And we noticed something else too. Mugwort is anti-parasite. And these would get some mugwort, put it over the fence. And did they go straight to the mugwort? Yes. Did they gobble all the mugwort up?
Some.
But not much. They'd leave it.
A certain amount, and they stop.
And then what? You would notice a week or two later they go back to it. Animals even know this stuff. We're so disassociated. You've seen a sick cat go out and eat a certain grass. You'll see dogs do that when they're feeling unwell or feel they have to bring something up, so they'll chew on a grass that makes them rich. Even reindeer and that are known to lick the dew of flowers to get the healing benefit from the flowers. They instinctively knew that, and I believe that back in Pandora, our ancestors instinctively knew us. But as we got together in communities and stuff, eventually there were, as I said, shamans and witch doctors that held this knowledge and passed it on down the generations. There was no need for written records or 6 years at university. It was all passed down to the apprentice that was coming up. It certainly was the shamans that sort of conducted the rituals in most societies of the vision quest. Because you do need ritual, you need focus to make the trip worthwhile, whether it be mushrooms, San Pedro, ayahuasca, whatever. And just on that, I'd like to bring this up, how in each culture, in each country, we have our own equivalent herbs. Because the dilemma from me, which I shared with Elizabeth, is why don't we, this is some years ago now, 20 years ago now maybe, why don't we have ayahuasca herb here? Why don't we have this dimethyltryptamine in our plants? That's rather strange, because I was already saying back then that in each country we have our own herbs that do healing, whether it be asthma, whether it's a ephedra and asthma in, well, for that matter in China, or ephedra nevadensis, which has been passed around that way in America, and there's asthma herbs here. But why don't we have dimethyltryptamine? And then one day a friend brought me some dimethyltryptamine, the wattle herb, made from the wattle tree. And I thought, there you are. And for me particularly, for those who've undergone ayahuasca, and I've had many ayahuasca journeys, I prefer our Australian smokable stuff. If you've got a lot of purging to do, if you've got a lot of stuff that you feel bad about, guilty about, regret, and all that sort of stuff that's burning into your very soul, yes, do take ayahuasca. The purging is amazing, and if there's only one tip I can give you today, when you vomit, remember you're not sick. You're getting rid of the evils, you're getting rid of that vibration in your body. And as you vomit it up, see that stuff, all that stuff lying there on the ground, expelled, expunged from your system. I can see the benefits in ayahuasca for that. But as for a journey, as for enlightenment, nothing beats our wattle tree. And why is it in the wattle tree? Interestingly, we all know about the Aboriginal dream time. Now I know they didn't, or we believe they didn't. It's how do we know? Because the missionaries and the white men that first came here banned them from doing a lot of their practices. Who knows, they might have boiled down the wattle tree, but we don't think so. We think because they were in their own Pandora back then, unpolluted, untainted, very close to the land, very pure inside, no alcohol, no drugs, just really in touch with the land, etc. Well, interestingly, they have the smudging ceremony. And guess what they smudge with? The wattle tree. That's what they used. And I'm sure that in their smudging ceremony, which all of the tribes did, they experienced the dream time, the rainbow serpent, the fractal pattern, and the enlightenment and the harmony that DMT brings.